What's going on, guys? Today I'm bringing you a little leg lock instructional. I got my 50-50 shirt out because we're going to be focusing on the 50-50 position. Now, coincidentally enough, ever since I got my brown belt, all of my wins have been by submission, by heel hook. And coincidentally, all my losses have also come from a submission. So technically I have a 100% submission rate, and I wanted to share with you guys probably the only thing I'm good at, which is a heel hook. It's specifically an inside heel hook or an inverted heel hook if you speak Danaher. I've hit this on maybe like one good guy, so I figured I would film an entire instructional about how to do it. But before we get into it, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about the position, why I chose it, and the underlying concepts that are behind it. So generally when I'm teaching, if someone wants to get into leg locks, I always focus primarily on finishing mechanics, how to finish inside heel hook, outside heel hook, ankle lock, and knee bar and toe hold kind of. Once you know how to finish those submissions, now you can choose your primary leg locking position. So there are many positions to choose from. We have things like saddle, outside ashi, 50-50, inside ashi is really popular right now. And the goal is to know a lot about all of them, but to have one that you are specifically an expert in, right? And for me, that's 50-50. So one thing I would focus on first is breaking mechanics. I'm gonna go over that a little bit in this instructional. Number two is whatever position you favor as a leg locker, that's the one you want to try to get to, and of course mine is 50-50. The first no-gi drill I ever did was a backside 50-50 heel hook, and that's probably why I am the way I am today. So this is a very near and dear topic to my heart. Hopefully you guys get something out of it, and hopefully you enjoy it. So let's go into how to finish an inside heel hook, because it's going to kind of just be the bread and butter of everything that we do. There's a lot that goes into heel hooks, a lot of different details. I'm going to kind of go through them really quickly. If you want a more in-depth instructional, don't ask me. Go on BJJ Fanatics and look at something Craig Jones, Gordon Ryan, or Lachlan Giles has put out. And if you are broke like me, you can just go to Billy Billy. But I'm going to give you guys my best effort here. So when we're looking at an inside heel hook, what I need to do is I need to get a good bite around his heel. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my rear delt and I'm going to put it onto his big toe. So if we're just looking initially, I'm going to take my elbow, I'm going to fold it behind my back here, my back here. And I like to do this, I don't know what his name is, he's from Scary Movie 2, the guy with the limp hand. I like to do that kind of hand here because it helps me catch the heel right at the crook of my wrist. Everyone has a little divot in their wrist right here. That's usually where I try to catch it. So once I catch this, I'm actively externally rotating my elbow. As I get this grip, you can initially go with a gable grip, though it's quite weak and you might have it slip out. I like to personally immediately go for a butterfly grip. Okay, and traditionally what you saw in the early 2000s is people would start doing rotating finishing mechanics, which isn't wrong in certain situations, but it will allow movement, and movement is the key to escapes. So what I'm gonna do is instead I'm gonna pin his heel to the floor, like so. Okay, you see how my hips naturally lift up once I pin it. Once I get this, I'm now going to fold his toes towards my butt as I bridge forward into his knee, and that's what we want. You don't want to have a rotation only, and you don't want to have a bridge only. It's going to be almost like a happy medium. So again, when we're catching the heel hook, I'm going to row as far back as I can and catch it on that divot. Once I get this, I can now start to go with my butterfly grip, and as I'm going down to my shoulder, I'm pulling his heel towards my chin, almost like an upright row. So as I'm going down, I pin his heel to the floor, my hips lift, and I just have to do a slight bridge, and you should get the tap from there. So that's the initial finishing mechanics. So now that you know finishing mechanics, we can start going into entries, right? You're not gonna wanna get to 50-50 if you don't know what to do from there. We're gonna talk about entries first. We're gonna talk about what we do from a standing, kneeling, and seated opponent, and then counter leg locks and how to defend ourselves. So let's look at some of my favorite entries. First one's from closed guard. So if Isaac is on his knees, I do believe a good closed guard is important. Let's scoot back a little bit. A good closed guard is important, but honestly, my whole closed guard game is waiting for them to stand up so I can leg lock them. And we're gonna look at a very important position that you're gonna see in a couple of these entries. It's called body X, and this is a position that I've really been playing around with. And I'm gonna kind of get into it more once we go into the Keymaster K-guard section. So as Isaac stands up, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep my guard locked, okay? As he gets here, I'm gonna go with an underhook, not on his near side leg like a muscle sweep. I'm gonna reach all the way across like this. Now, once I get this grip, I'm gonna unlock my legs and use that to pull me underneath with both of my feet hooking the back of, both my feet hooking his hips, and both of my hands are behind his knees. As I get here, I now have options for crab ride, and I also have options for 50-50, which we're gonna go into. So that's the initial kind of entry that I like to teach. Majority of the time, I'm gonna get to 50-50 from K-guard, Keymaster, and X-guard. Okay, so let's look at those a little bit. So let's look at a split squat situation where Isaac's doing a left side knee cut. Let's go to the other side. And I'm gonna stick my foot past his hip, right? So if he drops it, so go ahead and drop your weight here. I wanna make sure I have outside positioning here. Okay, settle back a little bit so they can see me. Yep, just like this. Okay, this is a good position, but it's also kind of a dangerous one. I really don't like playing from knee shield here, so I need to act quickly, and I'm gonna go into that same body X motion. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna underhook his leg and take a cross lat post. I can push into him, and I can rotate up to my upper back, and now you can see I'm in that exact same body X position. So one more time, think of a kiss of the dragon, but you're gonna leg lock him instead. So as he goes into knee cut here, I'm gonna make sure that foot is past his hip. Totally different vibe if my foot's on the middle. This is a lot more dangerous for me personally, so I like to have that foot past the hip. In order to kind of elevate him, in order to get under him, I gotta push him away a little bit. So as I underhook, I kind of extend my hooks, and I use that to get to my shoulder, eventually getting underneath his legs to where now I can capture both. So that's from a split squat situation. Well, what if we're in a headquarters situation, which is what I face quite often, right? So let's go on this side just so they can see it. So if we're talking headquarters, I've got a couple of entries that I like to do from here. Let's scoot back just a little bit. So if I'm going K-guard, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna underhook his leg, and I'm gonna start to go underhook De La Riva. You notice how Isaac's instinctively pushing my shin down. I want a vertical shin, not a horizontal shin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my hand on his knee, and I'm gonna go with a shallow K, just like this. My knee is almost on my bicep. Now once I have this grip, I can throw my leg up and over, and I can either choose to go backside 50-50, or I can invert all the way through, and I can shoot my legs up almost into a shelf outside offshoot position. Once I get here, I'm gonna lock my legs together, and eventually I'm gonna look to bring his leg past my head, and now we are in 50-50 where I'm attached to the leg. Okay, so that's kind of like the shallow K-guard version. If you wanted to go into X, here's how we do it. I go in, I'm playing a De La Riva. When I go underhook, I don't wait. You gotta be a little bit quicker with this. I'm gonna go deep De La Riva all the way through, and I'm gonna spin. As I spin, I extend him away so he gets onto his far knee. Once he's on his far knee, go knee for me. Once he's on his far knee, I'm gonna take a, what I call a glizzy grip here, or a baseball bat grip, and I'm gonna unlock my legs and shoot my legs into 50-50. Right? Now we're in the position, and now we can start looking to attack, looking to defend, whatever we need to do from there. One more variation, one more entry. I'm kind of going through these quick. If you want to, refresh, just play the video back. If I'm playing K-guard, right? If I shoot my leg past his hip, like so, oftentimes I will look for the backside 50-50. But people are really hip to that nowadays. So they'll start to face their knee towards me to where I can't throw that leg around without risking injury. So what I do from here is I keep this same hook. I'm gonna grab his Achilles tendon, and I'm gonna move my head under and around him, right? So I did start over here. I'm now gonna push my head under and get here. Now from here, I'm in 50-50. I can take that leg out, and now I'm in a good, strong position. Okay, so we have entries from everywhere. If you like a position, you need to have entries to be able to get into it. If you know one entry and your opponent knows you only know one entry, they're gonna be able to shut that down right away. You need to have entries from every position. Whether we're talking saddle, whether we're talking 50-50, you gotta have entries. Okay, so I have one from split squat, AKA Keymaster. I've got a couple from headquarters, and I've got one just from that initial K-guard motion, the most basic heel hook entry that we all know from Lackland Giles, and then a couple from X-guard, different things to look at there. So now we're gonna go into what do I actually do from 50-50, and why do I like 50-50? All right, so why 50-50? It is my theory that in no-gi especially, in order to have adequate control over your partner and to prevent forward pressure, we need to have control around the hips. This all actually originated from the closed guard. If Isaac's in my closed guard and my legs are wrapped around his hips, I'm controlling his hips. If Isaac goes forward here, he's not actually gaining anything. If he tries to be mobile, he can't gain anything either. So I kind of was thinking to myself, well, I can't get to close guard on anybody. So how can I adapt this principle to my leg locking game? And I quickly realized that 50-50 is a great answer to this. So if I'm in 50-50, let's say on this leg, you should stay sitting down. I get to 50-50, let's go back a little bit. I get to 50-50, I've got control over his hip, and if he moves forward, it's actually gonna hurt him, right? So now I have control over a good guard passer, like Isaac. This is the only game I play on Isaac, by the way. If I don't play this, I'm getting my guard passed, right? This is a great position, but you often hear people say, 50-50 is not good because it's an equal position. It is true, but in most positions, if you have more knowledge over it than the other person, it's actually a pretty good position. All right, so I've chosen to invest time into 50-50. Yes, there are options for counter leg locking and shootouts, but personally, I love shootouts just for the love of the game. Right? If someone heel hooks me, I love it. So we're gonna look at what to do from 50-50 and why it's a good position and how to get that heel hook. All right, let's go ahead and unlock. Let's turn this way. Let's start from, actually, let's do this way. This way. And stand up. Okay, so we've entered 50-50 on our opponent. Now, what do? Well, first I need to keep a good attachment to his hip, okay? So I need to keep my lock as close to his hip as possible. You see how I go with almost like a short triangle here? You can opt for a tight triangle. This is going to be different depending on what I'm doing, and we'll go into that. My upper body grips are extremely important. If I'm trying to attack the heel hook, which is the lowest part of his leg, I need to control his knee, because that's the part that's attacking, and I need to control the joint above it, that way he can't rotate out of it. So I like to personally go with 2 upper body grips. I go 1 Achilles grip, this controls his ankle line, and I go 2 undercross grip, and I like to grab my own leg, and now we're in a good 50-50. Right now I'm attached to Isaac, and it's gonna be hard for him to run away, hard for him to do really anything here. So let's look at first a couple of ways we can do the heel hook. If your opponent is naive, you can just do an inside spin, right? So if Isaac steps that leg up, right here, I get a little closer. If they're just standing straight up, what you can do is you can lock a tight triangle, and right now I can unlock my hands. I'm gonna sway and try to get an inside popliteal grip. That's the back of his knee. And now as I rotate through, I'm gonna bring his knee to the floor as I catch a solid heel hook. And we're gonna look at what to do with our legs here in a couple of sections. But just to start out, I like to take my bottom leg and I like to bring it behind their leg, so now it stops a lot of rotational effect. Right, you see how I've got a good bite on a backside 50-50 heel hook, which is the best one, right, because he's not facing me anymore. I lock that butterfly grip, I start pulling his toes towards the back of his head, and I can start bridging towards the floor, and that's gonna put the heel hook on. And that's against a naive opponent. It shouldn't really happen that often, but just know that it's there, right? I don't catch that one too often because everyone's kind of hip to it, but it is there, right? I probably say it's the most basic one. Okay, let's say that leg is too far away, and we've got a couple of other options here. So I have this Achilles grip, and as I shoot my legs up, I'm gonna have this undercross grip. A lot of guys are gonna start underhooking both of your legs and stacking them. Don't fret, this is actually exactly what you want. So as Isaac starts to put forward weight into me, he's gonna start to drive into me, I can use this to start to invert, so kind of push more towards your, right there. Right, if we're here, I can use my undercross grip and I can start inverting under and I can catch that same grip. You see how I keep the undercross and now I have this. I take my foot, again, behind his leg to stop the roll through, and now from here I can let go of the undercross and I can start going for the heel hook. Just let it be known, if he were to roll through, right, go ahead and roll through, I need to follow that all the way, right, with my hips in line with his leg. And we'll talk about why I like to take that foot behind here in just a second. So that's one that requires a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of timing, but it's one that I hit quite often when they try to stack us. Okay, let's say they're not stacking us, they're not a naive opponent stepping their leg up. How do we get the heel hook, right? It can be quite difficult sometimes. So if we look back at the standing position, this applies to kneeling as well. So against a kneeling opponent, we'll do the same exact sequence. So just for now, I just go to that knee. So I'm in 50-50. And I feel like I can't spin on the inside. You can try the Woj log. I suck at this. I'm not going to teach it. But I can still go backside just with a couple of certain ideas. So what I'm going to do here is instead of going inside spin, I'm going to go outside spin. So I keep that undercross for as long as I can. I unlock my legs, and so as not to get heel hooked, I turn my heel towards his lower back. As I bring this foot under, I'm gonna spin around. I keep my hand and I post it on his thigh. Now from here, I take a shotgun grip around his shin and I bring this foot from the far hip to the near hip, just like this, to kind of manage that distance. Now from here, I'm gonna throw basically what's called a no-gi lasso, right? The same way we do in the gi. I'm gonna go up to my shoulder, throw my foot through, and you can see that shotgun grip immediately turns into a heel hook grip. Okay, now from here, let's look at why I choose to do this foot behind his leg. Right, let me free that leg. I get here, because look at what happens when Isaac rolls. When he rolls through, it stops, right? And I can start back heeling, and now I've got control of both of his legs, and I still have both of my hands. Right, so I'm controlling that far leg with a strong back heel, and now I can plant the heel and I can start going. As opposed to if I didn't have that, now he can start hiding his heel and turning, and I might slip out of the position. Okay, so this is versus a seated or standing opponent. Let's look now at the seated opponent, because it's going to be quite difficult to heel hook them, but we're going to look at a couple of certain tricks that I have from that position, as well as counter. All right, let's look at seated opponent. Okay, so I have 50-50. That inherently means he also has 50-50. So one thing that I need to do is I need to check myself before I wreck myself. I'm never gonna go for a heel hook or any type of submission unless my legs are crossed. The moment my legs are uncrossed against my own volition, I'm gonna go back to defending, and we'll cover that later. So let's look at a sequence that I love. I'm actually pretty good at it, is how to catch the heel as they roll. Nobody is gonna let you just separate the legs and heel hook from here. They may be trash, but they're not gonna let it happen if they're good. So let's look at how to unlock the legs. So sometimes I'll go with an Achilles grip to start threatening maybe an Aoki or an ankle lock on one side. Doesn't really happen too often. What I will tend to do is I go underhook with one hand and I feed my hand in and I grab the heel. Okay, now from here I can start unlocking his legs. I do an elbow hop. All right, so I have the heel, I kind of push with my left hand and pull with my right hand, and now I'm right into a heel hook. Isaac knows this though, so what's he gonna do? He's gonna start hiding his heel. Right, so as he hides his heel, watch what I do to follow the roll. Let's scoot this way so they can see it whenever we finish the roll through. The key is beating them around the corner. Okay, so I know he's gonna roll. I can just feel it off his hips and his body language. So as we roll, start rolling slowly, I'm gonna take my hand to his shin and I'm gonna go to my forehead. Now from here, I'm pushing his foot behind him, and now my hips need to beat the corner before his hips. So as we get here, I roll and I immediately catch. Sometimes I'll catch this leg to kind of stop the roll through. Sometimes it won't happen. But as he rolls through, now that I've got a good bite, as he starts to finish the roll, I can catch my butterfly grip and solidify the position. Okay, so one more time. This is probably my favorite heel hook sequence. Of course, I probably have an undercross and Achilles grip. This helps them to not be able to cross their legs, right? So when we enter, we're gonna have favorable grips, but we're just looking right now if their legs are already crossed. Okay, so I go underneath his heel, and I grab his heel with my other hand. I push, pull, he starts to hide the heel. I'm gonna go to my forehead as I take a top shin grip. I roll around the corner, catch, and then you can immediately catch a strong butterfly grip. If you have it set, if Isaac rolls, he shatters his own knee. Okay, so let's kind of roll back here. Ugh. You'll notice as I'm doing anything for 50-50, I'm always trying to shorten this knee, right, outside of his knee line. Right, if my knee line is in, it's not bad, but he can still counter leg lock me. Favorably, I like to have my knee on the inside. If everything's going perfect, I'm gonna have this foot across his hip, because now I'm safe from all counter leg locks. He may try to attack this foot, but I'm gonna catch an inside heel before anything. Okay, so that's from the seated position. Again, if I have the undercross and Achilles grip, it's very easy for me to turn my hand out and catch a very solid heel hook right here. Okay, so oftentimes they're probably gonna heist up, stand up. We know what to do from there now when it comes to going backside or inside spins. If he's extending his leg really hard, we can go for that Woj lock. Again, I'm not good at that, so I'm not gonna teach it. But oftentimes with this undercross grip, I can start back heeling and bending his knee. Okay, so this back heeling motion will help attach me to his hips, and pulling up on that leg will help me attack the heel. Okay, so let's look now. That's the primary sequence. Honestly, that's really the only sequence I know. It's the only one that works for me. Let's look at how to keep ourselves safe from 50-50. So I'm in 50-50. I need to keep myself safe. I don't lock a full triangle here, I never do. You're gonna get toe holded and you're not gonna be able to get out, right? Because he's trapping my inside leg. So let's look at a couple of counter details, how we can use someone's heel hook attempt to attack our own, and when to transition and leg pummeling and things of that nature. Okay, so let's say, let's turn this way. Let's say Isaac has peeled my legs apart, okay? As we know before, this means, okay, I'm not in attack mode, I'm in defend mode. I'm gonna let him dig my heel as I start to roll. So as he's starting to go for the heel hook, what I'm gonna do, hopefully the camera can see it, I'm gonna take my other foot and I'm gonna shoot it behind his elbow. So as he starts to take a heel hook grip, I can get it behind, lock my legs, and now when we roll back through, I'm back in a neutral position to where I'm safe. So again, it's all about this leg. I think about like I'm shooting through and I lock my feet together again. Let's do a little more. So as he unlocks my legs, I'm gonna roll, shoot my leg through, lock my legs, and now I'm on a top side 50-50 where I can start freeing my knee line and attacking him, again, with that roll through we saw earlier. Okay, so that's if they go for a heel hook on us. What if they pass the leg over? So have a seat right here. Oftentimes I'll bait this as well. I like to play in shady areas in 50-50 because it makes me stronger and helps me test my knowledge, right? You want to get better at this position, you specific train it a lot and you get heel hooked a lot. So sometimes I'll let my legs be uncrossed, and let's look at it first. It's a really easy heel hook. If I keep my foot on the ground, it's gonna be hard for me to heel hook me, and I'll take my hand behind my knee like this. As I heist up, I make him think that I'm trying to get top position. As he unlocks his legs, I'm gonna fall back to my hip, my hand slides down my knee, and I catch a very quick heel hook, okay? I've won a couple of matches that way. If he starts passing across, so if I'm here, I want him to pass it across to outside offshoot because I've got a couple of good counters from there. So let's say he passes it over. As he's passing it over, I'm gonna take this knee grip, okay? And now I'm gonna start rolling because he's gonna try to heel hook this leg. So as he's coming up to heel hook the legs to kind of sit up, yes, now I take my leg over, I grab his heel, and now I do a scissoring motion where I push with my right leg and pull my left knee to me. So go ahead and start digging the heel. As we roll, I get here, and now I'm back in my heel hooking backside position. Okay, that's another great option. If they're not digging the heel and you feel like they're going ankle lock or anything like that, I am gonna build up to a knee, and I'm gonna underhook his knee like this. I'm gonna step my leg up to his hip, and I'm gonna turn my knees towards you guys. Okay, now I have control over both legs. Personally me, I'm gonna drop to my knees forward, lock my legs again, and start attacking that shin grip and beating him around the corner. Okay, what if we're here and he frees his knee line? This is a big thing that happens all the time, and we're gonna look at what we can do to kind of attack both legs, right? If one leg fails, you always go to the other leg. So if he frees his knee line, what I'm gonna do is a very fancy move, but it does work. I'm gonna underhook his other leg and bring his shoelaces to my ear. Now I'm gonna lock a heel grip, or if you have the time, get a shoelace grip, it's even better. And now I'm gonna hip escape and free my own knee to where we're almost in the same position. Now I'm gonna take my foot over and I'm gonna push his leg away. I bring my inside foot into a K-guard hook, and now from here, I'm gonna go up, over, shoot through, and now I'm back in this 90-10 position on the other leg. Okay, so that's the way that we can get to the other leg. What's another way? If I'm here, and maybe he hasn't freed his knee line, but I'm like, man, nothing's working on this leg, you can do kind of something I stole from Owen Jones. If he unlocks his legs, I can do that same, almost like crab ride entry, and now I can get up to my forehead. I take my other hand to grab the back of his knee, and I'm gonna shoot this leg, the one that's on his hip, inside and attack his saddle, okay, with a strong Achilles grip so I can stay attached. Not the greatest position, but one thing I like to do is as they roll through to defend the heel hook, I just switch it to a 50-50. So I just take that foot from the inside to the top hip. So we're now, if Isaac rolls through, I'm just back in 50-50, okay? So I don't really play around the saddle. I think saddle's kind of overrated, honestly, for me. But that's another way that we can re-attack the legs. So we know that we need to be able to defend ourselves, and we know that we need to be able to counter leg lock. Counter leg locks are very important in 50-50 and knowing where you are safe. Okay, keeping your ankles crossed is very important. There are a lot of baiting techniques we can do where we unlock our legs for them to where we can counter them, but I don't really recommend it against a skilled opponent. Okay, so that's pretty much all that I know for 50-50. I'm sure I missed like 70% of the stuff that I actually know, but just a quick kind of summary why I chose 50-50, because it's a position that works for me. We can control the hips and control movement. How to get to 50-50, we have it from Keymaster, K-Guard, Deli Hiva, and X-Guard. All great entries, focusing primarily on that body X positioning, okay? And then we have finishing mechanics, what to do from a standing, kneeling, and seated opponent. One thing I wanted to get into, I actually didn't get into, was the body X. Let's look at that real quick. So when Isaac stands up, let's just say I get both feet up, I underhook, and I get here, this position where I'm in between both of his legs. When I'm here, I love this position because again, we can start entering backside and getting here where I can take my arm out, I can go around cupping my knee, and I can even feed this leg across, and now I'm in that prime breaking position where I have double trouble with my legs, a solid heel hook grip, and he can't roll through. Okay, we also went over, if I'm in 50-50, turn to your, yep. I have an Achilles grip and an undercross grip to keep myself attached. All right, this is gonna help prevent his ankles from crossing. It's also gonna help keep me attached to him and also fight for the heel. Majority of the time, if he goes to his butt, and you have these grips, he's not gonna be able to cross his legs, but then we did also go over how to uncross the legs as well. If you don't like 50-50, totally understand it. I think you're missing out. But the goal is to know how to break someone's leg and to know what your best leg locking position is. For me, that's 50-50. For you, it may be single leg X or X guard or inside Ashi, outside Ashi saddle. Whatever it is, study it. Spend a lot of time there so you can learn more about the position than the other person. When you know more about it than the other person, your chances of winning skyrocket immediately. Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of short instructional. If I had to recommend any studying material, I would say Lachlan Giles' Leg Lock Anthology that he released right after his 2019 ADCC Absolute run. I would recommend Gordon's Systematically Attacking the Legs if you can afford it. Of course, John Danaher's Enter the System. And Craig Jones' Down Under Leg Locks are really good. And his Systematic Triangles and Leg Locks DVD is also very good. If you want people to study, the best leg locker in my opinion, there's two of them, is Mikey Musumeci. Still a lot of stuff from him, as well as Diego Pato. The lighter guys generally always have better leg locks and better jiu-jitsu, better leg pummeling, so that's something that you guys can look into. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you want to see another instructional, a very brief one as this one, let me know what you'd like to see, and hopefully I can get out to you guys. Thank you for watching.